Hello and welcome to KnightHunter Books. This is only my second solo expedition, so be gentle. I'm here today to do a review of Infomocracy by Malka Older, and I'm going to keep this spoiler-free as much as possible. This is a political techno thriller set in the near future. It's very much got the hallmarks of the techno thriller. It's very fast-paced, it's very globe-trotting. And there's a few bits that I can imagine would make for fantastic visuals if Hollywood ever made a film. This book is set about 20 or so years in the future, where the world is run under a system of micro-democracy, where each 100,000 people elect their own government, and the form of government that represents the most sentinels across the world ends up in possession of something called the supermajority. Basically, they run the world, they have a bit of extra control. They're heading into the third election for the supermajority, and there is concern that people are acting to try and destabilise the result. This microdemocracy is mediated and informed by a system called information, a worldwide bureaucracy of thousands of people who collect and sift information to try and ensure that voters make an informed decision. This system also runs everything from public transit to mapping to payments, making sure that everybody stays connected. The two main POV characters are both of Japanese extraction but having grown up elsewhere. One is a relatively young man who's worked up through one of the strands of government. The other is an older woman who is high up in the bureaucracy of information and is an odd combination I've never run into anywhere else of data analyst and ninja. The world building, I think, is fascinating. This future that's depicted is one that I'd quite happily go and visit. One thing I would say is that the line from our present to this future is very much a dotted line. I found it quite intriguing seeing the odd bits that are dropped in to explain the differences. So somebody craving real protein and going and having a termite burger in a really posh hotel. On the other hand, if you like to have a very solid line from now to your near future, you might not find this book for you. And you're very much dropped into this near future and expected to just cope. One thing I would recommend is there is a short story by the same author available for free from Fireside Fiction, link in the doobly-doo, and that explains one of these features of world building that is just dropped in, and it's a good fun short story and should give you some idea of actually whether the novel's for you or not. One thing I would say as well is that while this is very much a thriller and fast-paced, perhaps the number and the density of the ideas being thrown in means that it's perhaps not quite as grabbing as you might expect a techno thriller to be. That said, one thing I found really interesting that it did with the kind of techno thriller premise is actually the threat is pervasive and systemic and can't be defeated with a gunshot or a samurai sword. They feature. But actually, what does end up being an effective weapon on the side of the good guys is trust and teamwork and data analysis and persuading authority figures, which I feel is quite unusual. Normally it's kind of the lone wolf out to save the day by, stabbing and shooting minions. So that was quite a nice twist that I quite liked. Picked this up from the library, which I'm now quite annoyed about because I'd quite like to own it, and I'm almost certainly going to pick up the sequels. If you've read this or the sequel, please comment below and let me know what you thought. Otherwise, thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon.